Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to IBC Day 2. What a fantastic day we had yesterday in real life, in person. Thank you so much for coming back to support the media entertainment industry, and especially our IBC Accelerator program, Media Innovation Program, which, as you can see, right next door, moments away, Ralph, feet away, right next door, we have got 8 fantastic challenges and projects that are revealing their final proof of concept results, which has been the result of the beginnings at Kickstart Day back in April. The way the program works, we have challenges, which are very industry recognized challenges that are normally proposed by champions, which are our broadcasters and media and tech companies. An open call goes out to the participants, or the vendors and suppliers who come to the table with the solutions. IBC do a little bit of matchmaking, but a group hug going on, but COVID safe. We still stay 2 meters apart. And teams, consortiums are formed. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, bit late, it's okay. Consortiums are formed to develop these fast-track solutions. So the Accelerators is an industry framework that's all about open collaboration. There's no wrong answers. The consortium comes together to do some fast-track R&D in a short space of time, 4 to 6 months. And what you're about to see today, and everything at the pods, and the next couple days as well, are the results of these proof of concepts. And so it is a bit living R&D. It's a little bit mad scientist show, but it's all about really, really exploring things together and being a part of a really, really amazing community and learning. And we have a lot of these groups that keep returning. So at the Accelerator zones, you'll see each of the 8 projects, and you'll see a QR code where you can scan that code, get more information about the projects, and learn a bit more. And you can even fill out a form and register your interest for next year. So without further ado, today we are showcasing, oh, look at that. Oh, who needs that? Goes to a Google page anyway. Oh, I'll need to give that again. We have got the results of the 5G and Arena of the Future for XR events today. Thank you. Yes, yes. Whoop, whoop. And but we had a very, very special part of the program this year. We have a program sponsor, Microsoft, and our premium sponsor, AMD. And with us today, we have the fantastic John Kenny, who's just going to come up and give a little. Oh, and now, wait, I've always wanted to say this. And now, a word from our sponsor. Just me. Ladies and gentlemen, John Kenny.
Thank you, Mookie. Am I on? Can people hear me? Oh, yeah. Just a warning, giving me a microphone is a bad thing to do. No.
You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Jeez. All right. And now for a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Canning, as she said, with AMD. I have been involved in the Accelerator for a number of years. This year, coming back as AMD. And I looked at the company and I said, frankly, if you look across the accelerators, we find ourselves involved just naturally, being a part of a bunch of these different projects. And we should step up. And that's where we became the sponsor. Because frankly, we look at this and it is a fabric and collection of companies that come together to solve hard problems. And what I love about it is we're breaking eggs and we go, oh, we did that. And that's okay, because we're going to sit there and tell you what we broke, what doesn't quite work, and how we as partners can all come together and do it. So I am proud that AMD could step up and become a part of this overall. We're going to be back every year, bringing more fun and excitement. And with that, Mookie, let's do this.
Let's rock and roll, John.
Let's light this candle.
Thank you very much, John Canning from AMD. Grab a seat where you're sitting. So first up, we've got also joining us is Jim Sefton, the Managing Director of Hatto. Round of applause, please. Woo! It's a very interactive program today.
Wait a minute, hold on, Mookie. Which one's Ralph?
Ralph is right here.
Oh. Okay, good.
Ralph is
Hi,
right
Ralph.
here.
Hi, Ralph.
Eye contact, buddy. Eye contact. And then we've got Christian Metz, my third favorite Swedish person, head of business development from Net Insight.
Wait a minute, who are the first two?
The guy that founded Garlic and Shots in Stockholm is my favorite bar. Okay. And then the biker guy that manages it in London, he's my other favorite Swedish.
Noted.
You're really close. And without further ado, Ben Fabricus, the head of project management from Unique Feed. Round of applause, please. My final session. So this is the first of 2 5G themed accelerator projects today, and it was all set out about, you're going to learn a little bit more about what the past behind it, but we're demonstrating the winning combination of 5G and extended realities and really pushing the boundaries of low latency and the connectivity through not only a live sporting event, but through a 3D universe and a bespoke 3D world that's been made. We're exploring multi-location, multiplayer, augmented reality, the techno sports behind it, and of course, the integration of hyper-personalisation and three-dimensional advertising within real-time technologies, pushing that through a pipeline. Oh, wait, there's more, ladies and gentlemen, through OTT, ending up at DAZN. So, without further ado, let's get started. I think we've got a clicker somewhere. Oh, it's the first session today, guys. Well, here we go.
Don't we just...
Yeah, like clap on.
Where's
Okay.
the clapper?
The clapper. Right, we're going to leave that in Amsterdam, that one. Okay.
Yeah, okay, we're just leaving.
Without further So, Jim, I'm going to, let's start with you here. So we know that this consortium came together as a really great a continuation of the project. Last year, you guys can see the champions involved. You can see the participants involved. And just a reminder, so much of this material and more can be found on the IBC website. You go to the booth over there, they're able to do some live demos and more. So can you just tell us a little bit about the origins of this project and kind of how this has been developed and what we set out to do this year, please?
Yeah, so obviously the project itself was birthed back in 2020. In the midst of all the COVID restrictions and everything else, which was before I got involved. I think you'll be looking there at 5G connectivity between different locations, and a lot of that happened kind of theoretically or in smaller points. We moved on to that to last year, where we were actually start meet in person, do things properly. And that was the point that we got involved in the project, where we were then looking at virtual reality and augmented reality being used in multi-location. For our side of that, we were looking at the idea that the sport of Haddo is normally played on a single fixed location arena, and we wanted to explore the capacity to then play between locations, so that we had the physical sport of Haddo, but now you're having a physical sport that could be played remotely, like you can play a computer game remotely, but it's still a physical sport. And that was obviously worked through with the different partners back then, many of them who stayed with the project for this year. And then we looked at different ways you can move that data, how we can represent it, the challenges involved with it, and the mixing of physical and cross reality with both the hosts and the players.
Exactly. So I think this is a little bit of a what happened at Kickstart Day. So just a reminder, when the challenges go in, we have close to dozens and dozens and dozens, and it gets whittled down to a short list. And then a selected few, about 15 or 16, are chosen to present live at Kickstart Day. And then 8 go through to the final challenge. So I think this is the video from Kickstart Day that Marco from Vodafone, our project lead, presented.
Welcome to the IBC Haddo Championship, the first one. My name is Will Greenwood, and I am a former Haddo champion.
And I'm Rochelle, international VTuber, Haddo player, and co-host of this amazing event.
We had a Haddo team competing against another Haddo team in Coventry that was connected over Vodafone's 5G network.
We got Twickenham Team Red and Coventry Team Blue.
Let's get into it, okay? Let's do it. 3,
Ready?
2, 1,
Haddo fight! What an opening move from Team Red.
It's so draining when you're the front man.
There's no recovery at this point, so it looks like the win goes to Team Red.
My favorite thing about this IBC Accelerator is the use of 5G to connect the two different Haddo locations.
If you look at a bedrock of something like 5G, it's all about fast, low latency, and enablement.
Our interest in the LBXR consortium project was really from the point of view of introducing digital avatars, because that was one of our first interests.
The biggest challenge was trying to take the data that we know exists within the Haddo system and find a way to record it, because it wasn't the thing that the system was ever designed to do.
It's very immersive, and I think it's one of the most exciting applications of AR that I've seen in a long time.
I have a virtual co-host, which is Rochelle. She's full of energy. It's using the actual mocap suit is just unbelievable.
This is the Noitum motion capture suit. You can see it's an inertial suit, so you have all these sensors that have little gyroscopes in them.
I mean, we are doing a esport that is played in 2 different locations on AR with stats from Weaver, a live host, and then a virtual host.
And that was a little sample of the 2021 highlights, not the pitch video, so I beg your pardon. But this gives you a little taster of what resulted in the Project of the Year awards. So congratulations again, guys. Let's see what you got in store for this year. And I think I'm going to pass over to John Canning now. You were the champion last year for another company, and now you're back as a participant and our sponsor, and we're grateful for that. So talk us through the ambitions for this year and the learnings from last year and going into this year, and what we wanted to achieve, especially bringing into the 3D worlds, into
Sure.
especially the virtual advertising and into the OTT.
Well, because when you start a project and it's difficult, what's the next best thing? Make it even more difficult. So, I mean, last year we had a lot of fun, and you saw what we put together, and we started asking ourselves, but wait, what more could we add on top of this, right? Okay, so we did this. How can we make it different? How can we take it to that next level? So in this year, started adding additional elements into it. So you saw in the video, you saw the players themselves, right? And you saw them bouncing back and forth. We're like, well, wait a minute. If we take this esport truly into a 3D domain, can we then have, because we have the motion tracking data from those characters, can we put them in a 3D universe as avatars themselves, and then be able to envision what the crowd experience would be for that event? So now you have live people playing, being motion captured through the Noidum technology, put into a 3D universe. And then we said, okay, now we're going to make it even more difficult because of everybody's schedules. Let's do it in 2 different continents.
Over the summer,
Yeah.
with a Swedish guy.
Right. Let's not pick on the Swedes.
He's it's okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there were other people that took vacations.
That's true.
But yeah, over the summer. Go figure. So if that, adding all those different elements together, and what's interesting is that it is a melange of every word and buzzword we can throw at with some of these projects. You've got XR, you've got esports, you've got 5G, you've got AR, you've got VR, you've got...
Keep going, you're going to win a prize.
Yeah.
Cloud.
The M-verse word.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say the M word, but we don't like to use the M word. Yeah. Cloud. But yeah, looking and layering all those things, and then seeing where it breaks, frankly, and that's what I love about these accelerators is we literally pushed it so hard that it was like, okay, that's not going to work, or we're running into IP issues, or, all these things to see where the seams are. And yesterday I ran into a company that basically they said their business model was exactly what we did. And I was like, oh, funny, you should go over and look at that stand, because...
How convenient.
Yes. Yeah. But it's the obvious next step for these kind of activities is taking it and saying, all right, how does the audience participate? Getting into the issues of, great, we can give an audience access to this. What is the viewer experience in VR? What is the viewer experience in 2D rectilinear? And getting into all of those things and playing with it, and having the wide range of these companies having to collaborate, figure out how to collaborate, is all part of that.
Exactly. So I think this is a video just to show you a little bit more about Hado. Should we play this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you're wondering what Hado is, it's a Japanese techno sport that's taking the world by storm. And do you want to talk us through a little bit of this, Jim?
Yep. So here we're seeing actual gameplay from Hado, and those 2 little clips right at the start are looking at where we want to take the sport, and a lot of that happened, or was proved we could do during the course of this accelerator.
And how many countries is it currently in?
32 countries with national teams at the moment.
With national teams. Do we smell the next Olympics coming? Where's OBS? OBS is part of this project too. So again, we've got our champions first. So of the champions and participants, we can only fit so many people on stage. So we got a couple little snippets from some of our consortium members who couldn't make it today or couldn't fit on the stage. But I say we all join up too. So we're going to roll a couple of these right in a row.
I'm Caroline Ewittle.
Oh, volume high, please. Thank
Product
you.
management at the Zone. We are totally committed to reimagining the way people consume sport, and our ambitions go beyond broadcasting. This accelerator provides an opportunity to collaborate and fast-track our vision to deliver a richer, more immersive experience for our customers, where they can interact with sport in a hyper-personalized, creative, and integrated fun experience.
Caroline Everton from DAZN. followed by our returning ESL weaver, James Dean.
Hi, I'm James Dean. I'm the founder of ESL's UK office.
I just said that.
And now I hold the role of Director of UK Commercial Strategy. For over 20 years, ESL has been pushing the boundary of what is the future of competitive live entertainment. It is what has become lovingly known as esports. We need to remember this is a digital-first audience. The perceived value is online competition, multi-million-dollar tournaments held in vast virtual worlds, surrounded by consistent communication across digital communities. So we think about the metaverse. It is, in fact, the concept that has been in existence since the very first massive online multiplayer games, such as Second Life 20 years ago. Now, in present day, technology is allowing us to truly blend those physical and digital worlds in both competition and entertainment. This year's project encapsulates all the value we see today in esports, but also blends in high levels of personalized experiences, monetization techniques, and delivery while crossing back into the physical world. The very fact we can demonstrate two teams playing a physical game while positioned halfway across the world is incredible. We then bring those physical spaces together, rendering them in a singular digital space in which fans can immerse themselves, walk around, interact, communicate, engage with content, brands, and other people. This is absolutely the future, and we're very excited to be part of it.
Very nicely put by our close personal showbiz friend, James Dean. And next up, we got Zoran Chukovic, who is the professor of audio signaling at King's College London. And that's something we might have missed in the explanation of this project. Also, taking it one more step further, exploring three-dimensional spatial audio into these verses and into these worlds. So let's
Kuj, professor of signal processing at King's College London, having had a fantastic inspiring experience at the IBC Accelerator 2021. I'm returning this year, this time to join the team which is innovating in the context of the future of XR events. And we are providing a novel technology for real-time environment acoustic simulation.
We have a little issue, but we work in tech.
Leave it to the audio guy to have an audio track.
Hi, we work in tech. Switch it on and off. Yeah, I know, right? And
my name is Rock Nakajima. I'm the president of Noidum International. This is our second year joining the IBC Accelerator location-based XR project. The reason why we're joining this team again is because of our interest in the esports domain. It is a future-looking project, really looking at how live action sports can be gamified. Accessible motion capture is the next frontier in terms of the streaming of data. We easily stream video data right now. The concept of sending motion capture data into the metaverse, literally, is to provide a three-dimensional rendering of players, entertainers, performers, and allowing them to be whatever they want in that world. This is really kind of the next frontier that everyone's looking at, and for us, it is shaping how we're looking at developing our company in the future.
Rock Nakajima from returning participants Noitim, who are here at the Accelerators. They joined two projects this year, and we got some live demos of their motion capture software.
And we call them gluttons for punishment.
We do, indeed. So another reason why we're here today is to discuss the opportunities around virtual advertising and branding within these 3D worlds. And Ben from Unique Feed is here. I'm going to pass you're going to drive your next couple slides. But I do want to preface that Ben and his colleague Katie, who's here from Unique Feed, came to Kickstart Day with their own projects focusing around the virtual advertising world. You met these guys who were also, returning champions and pitching this, and what happened was a merger of the two projects, and it worked perfectly. And let's hear how this story came together and what are the results of this work stream and the proof of concept. Thanks.
This has 3 buttons. This is
just
really
go to the green, buddy. Go to the green.
Super confusing. No.
You want me to drive?
Nah, it's all right.
What do you got? Something against female drivers?
We got this. So first of all, it was awesome joining this team. I felt like you were just a big family embracing us as a little adopted child.
Water.
Yeah, thank you. So we pitched a project about OTT, and like we at Unique Feed, what we're doing is we're placing virtual advertising traditionally in sports broadcasts, so football, tennis, whatever. And we're looking at obviously trying to bring that into the OTT world, and we're super excited to actually look into esports, something that, I mean, I can see Caroline in the crowd here, something that is kind of moving more and more into, you know, the focus of big like OTT providers. And I'm just going to go ahead with this. So what we kind of coupled.
You need to click to.
Oh, again?
Yeah, to play the video.
Oh, sorry for that. Can we mute the sound on this? Sorry, thank you.
That's impressive.
So, yeah, that's very, very aggressive. So what we're trying to do and what's being visualized here is we were trying to basically take the Hadro production, stream all that content into our remote production facility, and create targeted content to tell the story, give a proof of concept of how a virtual experience could be personalized on OTT. So imagine you're watching this on your phone. Imagine, you know, maybe you even have a headset and, you know, you're part of the actual gameplay and what's happening in that 3D world. We're going to try and look at, you know, all the viewers out there, what are their personal preferences, and project virtual advertising into whatever you're watching. That might be the Hadro game. Do I have to click again?
Yeah.
There we go. So you can see here what we've done basically. We've taken here an example where we're taking all the streams coming from the actual Hadro arenas in Miami and London, and you can see the IBC logos that we've placed on the ground and on the side of the arena there. So that's one obvious step to do, but we wanted to take it further, right? Yeah. Essentially, we want to move to the metaverse. We want to give people who've projected themselves into this immersive experience the possibility to see programmatic ads that are tailored to their preferences, right? So I think I have one more video here that might show that. So. Cool. And here you go. That's a 3D world. It's an example of the actual two teams that have been motion tracked competing in a 3D world. And you can see again, we've taken these billboards and we placed the IBC logo on there to kind of give an impression of what that could look like, right? And you can imagine those guys on the sidelines, those avatars being, maybe those are VIP followers of the game. They projected themselves in there, and they can see ads that are tailored to their preferences. That's the idea.
Ben, we love it.
Awesome.
Mini round of applause for Ben's demo, please, because these guys worked so hard. Can you tell us a little bit more about this workflow and the integration with a really brilliant participant called ICVR? They're based in Los Angeles. Introduction from John, the JC special, and you know. Without them as part of this group, you know, they were super integral in building this 3D world. So what was that like? Because we know that there were challenges posed into this. And we're going to leave this up because we're going to go to my third favorite Swedish person after this. But tell us a bit more about
I'm going to do my best.
You might work
depending on how you do, you might move up.
Depending on what I say now.
So tell us how the world got built and the challenges that came around this, because it's still, this is where you said throw the eggs down. The accelerators aren't set out to boil the ocean. We're here to, you know, throw the spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
And you got like probably 5 years of work within 2 months' time. So give us a little summary.
A lot of coffee involved,
Give us a little summary.
Although I'd like to point out, if you look at this diagram, it does look like we boiled the ocean.
We did.
So everybody got this diagram, right? Anyway, so I'm going to do this without trying to steal your thunder. Bear with me. So yeah, you can see in this easy to comprehend diagram for all you guys. No, so what we've done is like the challenges we had, I guess, we're trying to take the technology that we work in today, which is kind of, it's very geared at the broadcast, the high-level broadcast, low delays, you know, the really fixed connections and fiber, dedicated connections. And what we've done here is to try to just immediately plug into the world of esports broadcast, which works a little differently, right? It's definitely all IP-based. It's definitely all lightweight in the cloud, like they can be up and running really quickly. And we streamed, so we experimented with streaming that into our systems, and the challenges were very much based around latency and managing latency across the network. So it took us 2 days.
This is a 5G project.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I don't know if Gio was in the house. There he is. My guy. So we sat for the majority of 2 days trying to get this to work, and luckily, thanks to Gio and your patience and all the crew at Unique Feed, we get it to work.
Exactly.
Really.
You know, ICVR created the world based off the graphics of Hadro, the learnings from AMD, you know, every single moving part of the champions and the participant. Super huge thought leadership and insight from BT Sport, Olympic Broadcasting Service, Caroline from DAZN, the other champions involved as well. So it's been a really, really great learning. So let's unpack this spaghetti. Christian Metz, my nearly second favorite.
You're second
so
now.
harsh.
If you nail this, you're up.
Okay. Anyway, it looks complex, but everyone understands that if we work with cloud, different locations, different people, directors in one place, the production in cloud as well, everything needs to be connected. You need to have low latency connections within the production, moving up to wherever they do that and control it. And then, of course, unique feed needs to receive all these things and all the different rendered feeds, which, instead of cameras, they're all rendered. You do your job, and out comes a lot of different versions of the same metaverse, right? And these need to be distributed. And actually, this time we did this as well with DAZN.
Yeah.
So we pushed all these different feeds with the different versions to DAZN for delivery to through OTT. It could also be sent to old-fashioned televisions and things like that. Can you imagine?
the
and
big
maybe
square things.
you can get your the whole family in this. Yeah?
Why not?
Why not? But I truly think that the challenge in the future will be how do we interact and do this on new type of devices so that we really can make this total experience for the viewers. I think.
Exactly. I mean, some of the objectives from this year and last year and the year before, integrating that personalization, and that is really not able to happen without the connectivity and without the video network. So thank you, Net Insight, for taking part in this. Do you want to just kind of bridge that gap from the learnings from last year into this year? Because you know how much I love your network flows. I'm not lying when I say I hang them up on my wall. I am, but I'm not. But what were the kind of learnings from last year, and what did you know needed to happen to succeed this proof of concept?
Yeah, well, last year it was very focused on the production, I would say. I mean, creation of this world. This time we were more focused on creating different versions for distribution, I would say, for the masses to look at it and to experience it. And this is the first step on doing that, and we tried it out, I would say, together with you guys.
Yeah, you were great. I don't know if Thomas is here, but thanks to Thomas.
I feel like a hug come out, a little romance. Romance hug.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, ProMod played a huge factor in that as well. So
thank you, ProMod.
Yes, who are not with us today on the video. And one thing, if you guys picked up on this, last year it was between Coventry and London, the tournament. So 2 players in Coventry, 2 players in London. This year, again, how crazier can this be? 2 players in London and 2 players in Miami, Florida, USA. Let's talk about that. Like how, the way that had to come together. We were relying on huge, project critical moments. And there were so many times in this proof of concept where we're going, oh my gosh, is it going to happen? Do we have to put a slide up saying this is what we wanted to do? I mean, John, you were on both sides of the ocean a few times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as Christian said, last year we focused on physical production. This year saying, okay, ramp up that physical production. And it literally is a multi-place production event. Then you're also worried about your data flow. Right? So if you think about it, we had the players who are playing against each other. So it's a live competition. So there's the data flow that has to happen just so that the player is visualizing what that other player is doing, be able to react to it. They're scoring. It's a competition. Then the data coming from the Noidum system, all the movement tracking data, right? Building, as you can see, basically it is combining all of these different things. The latency of the different data systems, the video of the different systems, all of these have their own latency issues. And so we're just balancing that out. And I think that's one of the, key things here is looking at that layer cake and saying, how do you balance all that out? And then there is the viewer side of it, right? Which is, again, it's a competition. So thinking about the latency to the different viewers, we didn't add betting into this, but you know.
Next year.
We gambled on it.
Yeah, well, yes, there was gambling.
I'm here all week. Thank you.
Don't humor her.
Did you get that, Ralph?
Do not encourage her, please. So I think that that is the key thing, and again, thinking about a 5G network, but also just the latency in the systems themselves.
Yeah.
ICVR building a virtual world in Unreal, and then literally going to everybody, going, I want your data feed. I want your data feed. Can I have you? Yeah, and literally going to everybody and saying, okay.
With a game built with Unity.
Yeah.
As well. So this is towards the interoperability and democratization under the hood.
Oh, there we go. Right. Yeah.
Please continue. I interrupted you.
Yeah. No. Pick any real-time system you want to. But that's
VizRTs. Not that.
Yeah. But that's again to your point of a Unity, a game in Unity, and a virtual environment in Unreal.
Yeah.
I think we just intentionally try to make our lives difficult, right? But
here we are today.
But here we are today.
I think I'm looking at my notes, and we should have a VT, the old school videotape, to show the DAZN workflow,
and roll the tape.
Roll VT. There we go. Thanks. So this is to show how it's transported to the OTT via Net Insight. So Christian, can you pick this one up, please?
So this is actually just showing the content now, which is branded, as you can see, from Unique Feed, and I guess we're just showing one of them now. They could be hundreds of different versions of this that will be all sent out, and you can see the game then.
I was going to point out, as you're looking at this is again another part of that conversation of what is the viewer's perspective, right? So we picked this is a fixed camera location, but that conversation of viewers who decide they want to see from a different team perspective, they want to see an overhead of this game, right? So the ability for viewers to come in and look at different perspectives, again, affects the advertising placement. What does that particular viewer see? The 2D rectilinear nature of this versus going into headset. And then what you're seeing is, again, the 3D avatars that are basically overlaid over the real people playing these games. So dropping all of that into a virtual environment.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's almost really creating experience in four different verticals, because we're remembering the athletes.
Yep.
As well, the athletes, what can't happen without the athletes. So they are there physically playing in the real world. They're also mocapped up, so there's an avatar, so there's their digital twin playing with them. Let's just surprise ourselves what's here. Playing as an avatar, and then you have the fan experience inside the arena, but then you also have a fan experience in a different location through a virtual environment. So I think this is kind of the backbone of it. How are we bringing those all together to also provide those opportunities for the branding and the sponsorship with flawless video connection, by the way. I think, Jim, I was going to just throw to you to also kind of think about, the learnings from last year into this year, but tell us about the biggest learnings from you as the IP owner, Hado, as a sport, and how do you think the learnings of this proof of concept will affect your business in Japan as well?
So what we learned going from last year, where we were able to create data that we wanted to, but weren't able to do anything with it in terms of what went forward for the broadcast element, and we hit an interesting issue with sort of IPs and restrictions of what we could and couldn't do this year with it being between the UK and the US, which is why the great videos from ICVR don't show the energy blasts flying and things like that.
And he means intellectual property, not internet protocol.
So we had a position where we could either recreate the energy blasts or the players. But we know how to solve that now, so if we were redoing it tomorrow, everything would be together and it wouldn't be an issue. But that's part of all the learning curves you're going through when you're creating the project, that you realise that these things are there. There's already now a lot more audience integration and participation happening with what's happening in the systems out in Japan, and again, for going forward, to be able to integrate that in as well. So not only would we now be able to give the audience this fantastic immersive viewing experience, if we went forward into another year, we'd now be able to not just merge them as a viewing, we'd now be able to make the audience an active participant in the sporting event and be able to
Exactly.
affect the outcome and what's occurring on the pitch.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Ben, do you want to add anything to that from?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. Essentially, it's taught us a lot of things as well, right? Like we can visualize the future. We can visualize this happening, and projecting yourself into one of these games would be amazing, right? And I think it's the next thing that a viewer would want, and integrating virtual ads basically being rendered on these edge devices on your phone is essential for making
that? Oh, it's a mobile.
Sorry. But anyway, making that happen with our technology, bringing our technology to the point that this becomes seamless is one of the huge learnings that I think we all want to strive to, and it's wonderful to see the OTT side of things becoming
100%.
excited about it as well and backing that initiative. And it's been a really good learning. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. I think you hit the nail on the head there. But there are other, the bigger opportunities, around media entertainment and this ecosystem, the innovation technology. Marco Diaz Silva, who is the project lead for this group, one of the co-project leads, who couldn't make it today, really led this team, and providing the 5G and the low latency just really changed the way we produce. So even changing the way we are planning, you've got to make a whole different workflow. If it was dial-up, remember that? But from an AMD point of view, can you also just kind of touch on that importance of under the hood and the tools that come with that, the CPUs and GPUs, and like in the dream world, there's still a lot more to do.
All those chip things? No.
But I mean, how is that going to change?
Well, I mean, there was a couple of things to think about, and it's like virtual production, and the conversation in virtual production that a lot of folks are getting into is there's a lot more front loading into this process, right? So if you think about sports or an event, a lot of it, in our production world would happen on the day of, right? And then you say, okay, well, somebody had to create graphics packages for, the lower thirds and stuff like that. Now we're looking at things that have to be created. A whole universe is created. The options for the avatars, all of these things are part of a pre-production set that doesn't necessarily occur to somebody who's putting on a sporting event. And so the pre-production aspect, just like in virtual production, is we have to front load this process. I mean, again, why did AMD want to participate in this? Is we find that
because we're your favorites. Because
you are my favorites,
okay,
but it's through the entire fabric, right? So when you're involved in being on the CPU side, the GPU side, the system on chip through the Xilinx side, and I looked at the workflow, and it's like, well, oh crap, we have to power that, and we have to power that, and we have to power that. It kind of becomes a natural sort of synergy, if you will. But it's looking at, and especially when we're producing the Unreal environments, the rendering of those environments, the latency issues on a stage, being able to power all those systems, that becomes mission critical, right? And the syncing of all that becomes mission critical. So all of these things having to start fit together, the data latencies of the different systems. I just keep coming back to that because it is that's going to be the killer.
I smell a white paper coming on about this.
I do, yeah.
Another tech
it's going to have math.
And I think that we put these challenges on here. I love it that all of these projects are super ambitious, like crazy ambitious. But that's what it's about, and we're here to talk about the warts in all of these projects. One thing about the time, just to note, the Kickstart Day started in April, so it only really left us a couple months, and then summer holidays, and if you're Swedish, again, we won't go there, but just kidding. I do love him. He's getting up there. The Kickstart Day will be starting hopefully in February in 2023. So when you're putting the submissions in, we'll be whittling down that shortlist in the new year. And when we're starting in February, that'll give us time to think about those workflows and what you need to do, and then fine tune over the summer. So hopefully we can carry on through here too. So we've talked about the opportunities and the bigger pictures around this, and the importance of compute and the 3D assets and the connectivity and the platforms, and it is the age to combine the physical and the virtual worlds together. And the only way to learn about it is to do it and get our hands dirty. And this is what we happened today. So we've got a little summary for a lot of our champions and participants who couldn't make it. So we're going to close with this. Super sizzle.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be here again in the continuation of the last year's project, the IBC 5G LPXR Accelerator, that we had a very big pleasure to win the Accelerator of the Year award. And we're pushing the limits of how the connectivity comes into place into the XR productions and events in terms of augmenting the viewership and audience
Learnings
experience.
from last year.
And really pushing the limits of the technology overall.
So what we've been doing at UK Haddo is looking at ways we can extend beyond the basic nature of the technology that we're working with. We've been doing a lot of experimentation last year, and following on with that this year, we've been looking at the elements of remote play. So being able to take a physical sport and play it remotely, so the two teams don't need to be in the same places. So last year, we looked at London versus Coventry. This year, we're looking at London versus Miami. We want to be able to show that you can have a team, physical sport with all the interaction, with everything that goes with that, but where you can play international matches, friendlies, leagues, where no one has to get on a plane. Because both obviously the ecological, financial, time savings, all of it is quite incredible, but still getting all that benefits of teamwork that goes with it. We want to then try and expand beyond that to look at new ways to interact with the data that comes from the Haddo systems, to be able to look at new ways of creating the matches, viewing them, and interacting with them.
Well, this is a really interesting place for, certainly for us as a business, because as I mentioned, we've got our sort of virtual production facility. So we're very much looking at where you've got the physical live environments, again, coming from the heritage for ourselves in live performance. But there's this beautiful crossover point where you've got virtual worlds and XR spaces. So the technologies that we're doing through this proof of concept for the Accelerator this year, but thinking much more about the physicality and the movement of people, but also seeing where the collaboration between the physical space and the virtual spaces come together. So for me personally, I think when we look at doing this in the future, it's looking at through the lens of the Accelerator, but looking at where this potential goes for next year and the years after.
Just wanted to give you a quick insight into why we have joined this particular IBC Accelerator. We're very keen and have been researching XR experiences. We believe it's a great way to bridge that gap between the stadium experience and home at a large screen.
In the zone, we are totally committed to reimagining the way people consume sport, and our ambitions go beyond broadcasting. This Accelerator provides an opportunity to collaborate and fast-track our vision to deliver a richer, more immersive experience for our customers, where they can interact with sport in a hyper-personalized, creative, and integrated fun experience.
At the IBC Accelerator 2021. I'm returning this year, this time to join the team which is innovating in the context of the future of XR events. And we are providing a novel technology for real-time environment acoustic simulation.
So a little recap video from some of the champions and participants, and not forgetting Microsoft was involved, as was Warner Brother Discovery. And again, we're really super grateful for the time that everybody took on it. And I know one last thing from what's happening for 2023?
Well, I mean, if you look at what we've done is challenge ourselves from the production side all the way up to the audience.
Yep.
And the next step is being able to have the production, take what we've done, and then combine the audience element into it.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you think about everything, and I said betting, but having that moment where voting, like audience voting, for example, where the audience can vote up and say, Team Red gets an extra power up because, the audience voted that direction or things like that. So actually bringing that audience element into it, exploring the personalization aspect of it a bit more, I think that's the next step, is because we've beaten a lot of the production issues, understand that, So now it's that, can we then take it and actually do a live competition, have people participate?
100%. So watch this space for 2023. Thank you so much again, John, Jim, my #1 favorite Swedish guy, Christian Metz, and Ben. Huge round of applause, please. Please remember, we are right next door, right here at the Accelerator Zone. Live demos are happening. And the next 5G Accelerator, we are currently streaming over 5G network. That is a non-public network in a box to the Highland Games in Strathclyde. It is happening now, and there'll be a live demonstration on stage. So thank you so much for supporting. My name is Mookie, and we'll see you over the Accelerator Zone. Thank you, guys.